Welcome to FitBody Lifestyle, the show where we dive deep into the world of fitness, health, business, relationships, and the art of living a balanced life. I'm Jami.
And I'm Greg, and we're here to give you the benefit of our experiences in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, the corporate world, running a business, personal development, and building healthy relationships.
Whether you're sweating it out in the gym, hustling in your business, or seeking balance in your everyday life, you're in the right place.
So lace up those sneakers and grab that water bottle, and let's get ready to transform our minds, our bodies, and our lives.
Welcome back to another episode of FitBody Lifestyle. We are so happy that you joined us. I'm here with my partner in crime, Papa Bear, aka Greg, and we're so happy to have Yvette Montero back today. And if you didn't see our last episode with Yvette, we went into a lot of information talking about macro tracking and, how to properly weigh, measure, use MyFitnessPal. So if you didn't see that one, you can go back and check that one out. We're going to go a lot deeper today and talk about travel and eating out and all kinds of fun stuff. So first, Yvette, what is your check-in word?
Enthusiastic.
We didn't do a checkout word with her, by the way.
Oh, no. That's okay. We'll get it.
You'll have to do two today.
Okay, that's fine.
And tell us, give a little bit of background on you.
Yeah, I've been a FitBody Fusion coach for almost 8 years. I've been on the team for almost a decade. I coach lifestyle, transformation, bikini, fit model, and wellness. I guess that's kind of it.
You're an IFBB Pro?
I am an IFBB Pro. I also compete. Next year, hopefully, we'll be doing my fit model debut. So very exciting things to come in there.
Yeah, we're so excited about the new division.
I love it. I'm really, really happy with it.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we needed.
Yeah. And you do a lot of posing coaching too, as well.
I do. Posing has always kind of been my passion and my specialty. When I first started, I wanted to be really good at it. So I went to every posing clinic that I could find within 3 or 4 hours. I lived in San Antonio. I went to Houston. I went to Austin. I went to Corpus Christi. And then I found Jami, and that was also in San Antonio. So I just stayed there.
Yes. Well, and I think what's important about that too is I know there's a lot of people that are interested in fit model right now, and learning the posing I think is a little bit more challenging than at least than I would say than bikini. I think the front pose is a little challenging.
It is definitely hard. It's hard. We're so used to not flexing on stage. Mm-hmm. And this is where minor change there, we are flexing.
I will submit to you that I think what makes it hard is that because there are really only two poses, and because there's a flow to it that it's really the art of posing without posing, which is really what bikinis should be. But because of the angles and how you're wanting to accentuate certain parts, it's more regimented, I think. Whereas fit model, it's posing without posing almost. Mm-hmm. Although nobody would ever stand like that in the stallion pose, but you can disagree. You normally do.
I mean, I think you're posing just as much, if not more. I think in the front pose at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
the
different.
back pose is your back pose, really,
right,
between the two.
It's getting from front to back in that seamless way with that. That is, I think, the flowy part.
Yeah, because you still want to make it look clean and
transitioning without transition.
You're still creating the same illusion. That's the thing. Like with all posing on stage, you're creating an illusion.
Right.
I don't actually look like that unless I'm standing like that. But I only want the judges to see me when I'm standing like that.
And so you don't stand like that in normal life.
No, but how do I maintain that same look while I move?
Right.
That's the artistic part, is maintaining that fluidity and grace while still only showing them this one cultivated look.
Right. No, it's true. And so I know we wanted to kind of delve deeper into this whole world of macros, and I love having you on here to do this because I feel like you've been so good at really helping teach your clients. And I know you really get deep in this, and I hear this a lot from your clients, like how much they appreciate, how much they're learning about how to pick their foods, how to track their macros. And of course, we talked a lot about those things on the episode we did, our first episode together. But now kind of taking it to, how do you manage that when you're not in control of everything at home?
Control as much as you can, right? But that's also the language of macros, the language of nutrition. You're learning what those values are. So you kind of have a better cumulative idea from the foods that you've made yourself at home. When you go out and you're ordering, let's say, sushi, you know about how much rice you eat you can kind of mentally think about that's probably about a roll's worth of rice. Okay, so I could have that. That's kind of normal. What else do I have in this meal? Avocado. Okay, well, I can have some of that. It's just breaking things out down to make it simple again. But it's still the control that you have because it's the choice, right? When I'm eating out personally, I still try to stick to mostly whole nutrient dense foods. It's easier to track. It's what I'm more familiar with. Things get a little bit more complicated when you're doing sauces, right? And everything's covered in something. How do I account for that? Do your best. MyFitnessPal is huge, right? Most restaurants are in there. Find something similar. Go to a similar restaurant that's a chain. Let's say that you're at some bougie, fancy Asian restaurant. Cool, look up Panda Express. They have the same stuff. Find something similar. Out of that list, what works for you? I personally think fats are the hardest one eating out, right? That's what's going to add up the fastest because everything that they're doing tastes great, is cooked in oil, some sort of oil-based sauce is on it. Maybe it's a fattier cut of meat than we have at home. What do? Ask for it without that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you because I mean, obviously we've eaten out together many a times, but I mean, watching you order, I think is a really, I mean, I love when a whole bunch of us go out and we can see how each other
Everybody
are ordering.
eats, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like if you were to go into a restaurant, let's say we were going into like a P.F. Chang's or something like that, like how would you go about ordering, so that you make sure that you're avoiding some of those things?
There's stuff for me personally that I like to eat out because I don't make it at home. One of those for me is salmon, and I'm sure that you guys know we've gone out a ton. I usually order salmon. I like it. So it's, what do you want, right? What do you want to eat? What sounds good to you? For me, it's usually salmon. I'll usually order that steamed or grilled. Most restaurants don't have a problem with that. They're pretty accommodating. Same thing with rice. I'll get steamed rice, and I'll also get steamed veggies. That's what I like. I'll also get some soy sauce with that, low sodium because I'm very sensitive to it. But it's what you like, right? I'm figuring out how do I still have this experience with my friends and enjoy that and still eat what I want. This is still great food. It's food that I didn't have to weigh, and even better, food that I didn't have to make, and even best, food I don't have to clean up.
I was going to ask you the weighing part. So what are your thoughts on bringing a food scale with you or not bringing the food scale with you?
Where are you in your life, right? Am I competing at this point? Do I have a coach that I'm checking in with every week and I need to be really dialed in? I'm not embarrassed to bring my food scale. Absolutely, I will. Let's be as accurate as we can. I've got somebody else to report to. Things matter a lot right now. Am I taking a little bit of freedom? I'm in my off season. I don't have to be as diligent. That's when I really want to flex my knowledge. Do I know what about the same serving of rice that I have at home with looks like on a plate? I hope so. We'll find out when I weigh myself again. How far off was I? How full am I? How did that digest, right? Gathering that data, but using the data that I have, guesstimating. And it really is that. It's just an estimate.
Yeah. One of the things that I did, and I totally agree with you. Like if you're in prep and you're deep, it might make sense. Go ahead and bring it. Doesn't hurt anything. You can weigh it out, and if you're ordering simply, like you said, then it should be pretty easy to do. Then if you're in a lifestyle season or off season, then it might not matter as much. You eyeball it. But there was a time I was in prep and there was a sushi restaurant I went to frequently, and I would order the sake don, which is just the sliced salmon on top of plain rice, and it had a little bit of the salmon eggs on top. And so what I did is the first time I went in and ordered it, I weighed and measured it, and then from there on, because it was usually very
same-ish, yeah.
Yes.
They're going to give you the same portion.
Yeah. So I saved that as a meal in MyFitnessPal, and then I would just reuse that so I didn't have to go through it each and every time.
Mm-hmm. I have my go-to sushi order that we make pretty much every week at the same restaurant, and I know what that calcs out to. I know how much of that I can eat. I know what that experience is like in my off season, right? It might change when I'm in season. I might not get 2 rolls. I might get 1 roll and just some protein. But I know what that looks like, and I trust that it's fairly accurate because my body's responding the way that I would anticipate it to if I was still making my own food at home.
So let's talk about sushi rolls, because that's a good one that you brought up. How do you track your sushi rolls?
So I go into MyFitnessPal. find something similar. A rainbow roll is pretty consistently the same, right? Like I kind of all pretty much know what's in that. Not a lot of variation across restaurants. That's kind of my go-to
That's mine too.
because it's the easiest to track, easiest to log. Again, I'm not a sauce person, so I don't put any of that on there. If you are, find the sauce, log the sauce, add that stuff in. MyFitnessPal is such a huge database and such a huge resource. It really is just a matter of find something similar.
And I think, I don't know if you said this, maybe you did, and maybe I missed it, but I think implicit in everything that we're talking about here is, I think you said control what you can when we started, and really that control starts with planning ahead as much as you can. So if you're going to a restaurant, what's the name of the restaurant? Do they publish their macros? Do they not publish their macros? What's in MyFitnessPal? What's not in MyFitnessPal? What do I anticipate? Is their menu at least on published so I can figure out, okay, hey, before I go to the restaurant, these are the item. This is the item that I think I'm going to want. So you can pre-plan for that as much as you can. But it really comes down to what is it? The 7 Ps that I talk about. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And it is that ability to plan ahead that will ensure your success.
Absolutely. If you know that you're having like an occasion, let's say it's an anniversary or something, and you still want to track, you don't want to have total freedom. Maybe you didn't get that from your coach. You still have to keep within those numbers. Plan that first. You know that you're going out. Plan that meal first. Build yourself backwards around it. Again, that's one of those times where you're probably going to end up with egg whites and spinach for a meal because you're saving those macros, but you can. And that's the beauty of macros. It's just figuring out, where am I willing to give something up? Where am I willing to exchange, right? What experience do I want to have?
And
Yeah.
can I just say this real quick? Because you talked about if I'm tracking versus I'm not tracking. And I did want to insert something here because even if you're not tracking, and we don't believe in
should say not logging.
Yeah, there you go, not logging. Even we don't believe in cheat meals. I believe in earned meals, or we can call them free meals, but meals that you're not tracking or you're not logging. There still should be, and again, this is the language of macros that we've been talking about. There still should be some awareness that of the quantities that you're consuming and the impact on your overall nutrition profile. So if you are going to a buffet and you're stacking that plate and it's overflowing with food, that's not really fitting in anybody's macros ever. Mm-hmm. And that's going way out. That's not even an earned meal. I don't even know what that is. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And by disaster, I mean more that the impact that's going to have on your body, you're going to just feel like crap if you eat that much food. So it's about having that awareness and then applying that awareness to keeping your portions. And I think you said this in the first time we talked about this, is it's really the portion or the size that is going to really influence your overall nutrition profile.
Absolutely. It's how much of that are you eating? Now, same respect, when I'm going out to eat, I like to go veggie heavy because I know that I'm getting less nutrient dense foods most of the time in that scenario, especially if we're talking about foods that are cooked in oil. I'm not getting my normal fiber from my fats now. I'm getting it from the fat from the oil. So that impact is different. I still, years in off season, don't like to be hungry. And veggies are kind of how I mitigate that. I'm also not afraid to bat weird cleanup when I get home, which I think is another thing. If, let's say, you have most of your meals planned, unplanned trip out, cool. Well, now I'm stuck with weird stuff. What do I eat? I always have sliced chicken breast. It's an easy way to make up some macros. One of the few occasions where maybe you have a rice cake because you just need something really quick. But even if you're eating out, it doesn't mean that you're done with your macros. Does that make sense?
Right.
There might still be space left, still fill that space, but give yourself a little bit of a buffer too, because what you see on the plate, the way that it's served, whatever, there might be some variance in there. And I always recommend guess low, guess high. Guess that whatever you're eating is probably a little bit more than what you're thinking that portion might be. Mm-hmm. Now, I personally eyeball better in cups. I tell my clients track and grams, track and grams, track and grams when you have the control that you're doing it at home. But if I can mentally picture what a cup looks like, so I can transfer that on my plate. Okay, that kind of looks like a cup. It's an easier number to mentally track. Now, before I had all of this language and all of this knowledge, I would still go into MyFitnessPal and track that. So even though I'm not weighing and being so accurate in grams with everything, I'm still going to go into MyFitnessPal and say, I think this is a cup of rice. I think this is 2 cups of vegetables. And I think this is about 5 ounces of chicken. What does that do? Right? And even on the times when I'm guesstimating and I feel really confident, I'll still go in and put it in MyFitnessPal because am I mentally thinking about this right? Right? Same thing with alcohol.
It's a check on yourself.
Yeah. It just test but verify,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the verification, is like, am I thinking about this properly? And even there's been times where it's like, I'm just going to go eat. I'm going to order what I want. And then I get home and I'm like, okay, what did that actually look like? Right? Like you had that freedom, you had that moment, but also educate yourself because I've often found, oh, I can eat that.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like that when I first started doing what you're talking about and tracking my food in the restaurant, sometimes what I thought was going to be better ended up not being as good as something I would have preferred to have.
Absolutely.
You know, the burger was better than the salad.
When you talk about, okay, here's your Southwest salad. You have beans and corn and tortilla strips and cheese and this and dressing and this and that and this and seeds and all this other stuff. And when you actually look at that and you calc it all out, and maybe this restaurant is kind enough to give you the macros, and then you flip over and you start looking at like, well, I can have a burger and maybe I can't do fries, but I could do, this other veggie
side
salad, something. Oh, I can have something better. I don't have to have a salad. And I think that specifically is a big
Awareness thing.
But
a mind blow.
Most people, I hate using that term, people aren't aware of the values of those foods, right? So society has conditioned us and told us in the ladies' magazines for all of these years, eat a salad, lift 5-pound weights.
Yep.
You're going to develop the body of your dreams. No, girlfriend, you're going to be real skinny and real hungry. And it's testing those times in restaurants, I think, breaks through that fear that a lot of us have of, I don't want to get fat. I can't eat that. Why can't you? Who's telling you no?
Well, psychologically, I would tell you, if you are telling yourself that you can't eat something and you're not making it, I choose not to eat that, the mindset of restriction will ultimately rebound. And then when it does, it usually rebounds dramatically.
Yeah.
And so, psychologically, if you're telling yourself, I can't eat that. Now, if you can't because you have a food allergy or a nut allergy, then you're right. You can't eat that. Although we do have one person that accepts that, Paul. They will eat things that they're allergic to build up their tolerance. That's a whole different story.
Okay.
But that's
very scary.
It's very scary.
Yes.
But there's a psychological component to food. Are you eating with your mind or are you eating from your stomach?
Yes.
Which one is dominating your food urges? If you're telling yourself, I can't eat that, well, then you need to reframe that, because that's going down a dangerous hole that's going to lead to a negative feedback loop that will ultimately produce a bad result.
Absolutely. And that's why I like these experiments out. Right? It's developing more of that knowledge because, hey, guess what? You might be able to have a burger. There's no reason why you can't. If that's something that you want, figure out how to make it fit. Most of the time you can. If you're in prep, these rules don't apply to you.
Well, it might. You could do it. Maybe do a turkey burger or something if you can't.
Right, but
there's solutions.
Well, if you're in
or
prep,
split it or do half. There's so many solutions.
And I
There's
would say
so many
this:
options.
if you're in prep, it depends on where you are in prep, and it also depends on how you are progressing in
macros,
prep.
right.
So, if it's a refeed meal while you're in prep because you're dropping at such a high rate, or there's another aspect to your prep that you're low in energy, not getting a pump in the gym, other factors that may come into play, well, then a refeed with a burger oftentimes can be the remedy for that, and may fit.
I did that today. Actually, I have an athlete. I'm doing a refeed. She's 3 weeks out and she has 500 grams of carbs and 70 grams of fat. So she could absolutely
fit
That
in there, yeah.
But that's one of those scenarios where at some point in this woman's life, it's very possible that she thought, I can't have burgers.
Right.
I can't eat that. And you can, right? I don't want anybody to villainize food or look at food as something that you can or cannot have. It's a choice. It's how much of that do I want and why?
Yeah, when I first started doing macros and eating out, it's funny because I do hear people sometimes, oh, it's so hard because we're going to this restaurant, that restaurant, and I remember having this question in my own head, and also expressing this to other people that like, how many times do you have a group of friends, or you're going to go to dinner, and like, I don't know, where do you want to go? I don't know, where do you want to go? I can't, and then nobody wants to know, and I'm like, if you're that person that's tracking your macros, be the one to go,
I'd like to go here.
right.
This place publishes their nutrition.
Exactly. And take advantage of that and a lot of times people are like, thank you for choosing.
Right.
It's better for you. They appreciate it. And then you don't have to worry. But I definitely feel like if, you go in with a plan, you can relax and enjoy like the social interaction of it versus going and like, okay, now I'm there. Okay, here's the menu. What can I have? What
Hold
can
on,
I
I
not?
can't order yet. I got to log this.
Right. And then people get annoyed, and then you feel bad, and then, it's just a whole thing. Whereas, my biggest thing was just plan it out. Like you had mentioned, plan it and then work the rest of your day around it. And I could go and just sit and enjoy each other. I don't even have to look at the menu because I already have a plan.
One other thing about restaurants too is that, yes, plan ahead. We've talked about that. But if it's an impromptu thing and you can't plan ahead and you're at the restaurant and you want to eat, and you don't want to be logging your food as you eat, and you just know that, okay, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do today, which is fine. Take pictures of the food that you're eating. And that allows you to then go back after the fact and remind yourself, okay, I had this, I had this, I had this. Easier to estimate off a picture than it is off your memory, because our memories are just not very good. So
Speak for yourself.
my memory is not very good. Jami remembers everything. Yes. And
Unfortunately for you.
And especially everything that I've ever done. Mostly the bad things. Occasionally you remember good things.
And then the other thing to me is if because I always like to choose somewhere that does publish, because then it gives me a lot more freedom. But then if I don't, then that just keeping it simple that you described. So one other thing I did want to ask you, like, what are some of your go-to restaurants that publish or that don't, that you feel like are great for logging macros?
Chipotle. Big Chipotle fan. You can either weigh it yourself or kind of trust their scoops. Trust but watch their scoops, because sometimes they're a little funky. Weighing it out obviously is going to be your best bet. I'm a big sushi person, big sushi person. I have custom rolls that I will order everywhere that they go, because I know what they calc out to. I know what they macro out, and they're ones I really like. Sushi is probably my favorite, hands down. We used to go to Yard House a bunch. Big fan of that one post-show. My go-to
Yard
there.
House does publish their macros.
They do publish their macros, and I would always get salmon, steamed veggies, and rice. And that was like, after I would compete, my favorite, because it was warm food that I didn't have to make.
Yeah.
What else do we do a lot of? Thai, I think, is another really great one. I'll usually do like a stir fry, asking for less oil when we can.
I think a lot of times, some places will even do it steamed.
Steamed is ideal. Well, I'll usually do steamed rice and then like whatever the veggies are, a little bit of oil just for the spice. What else do we do? My boyfriend likes to eat out, so we go more
Seasons
out than I used
52
to.
was one that popped in my head. Seasons
Oh
52.
yeah, I forgot about that one. They definitely publish for sure.
Yeah, I love that they have the little desserts that are in the
little shot glass
The little
size.
shot glasses, just because if it's a special occasion or something and you want to have a little treat, it's small, but
Moderate.
it's not. Yeah.
It's not the whole slice of 7-layer cake that they bring out. Yeah. What's another good one?
Cheesecake Factory is decent. I mean, they at least publish their macros. So
They don't.
Is it? They
they
don't. They
don't?
publish calories.
well, that's right. They publish calories. That's right. I'm sorry.
They don't.
Take that off.
They don't. They only do trans fats, calories, and I want to say maybe carbohydrates. I don't think there's any protein or total
right.
fat
It's not
value.
total macros for
You're right,
sure.
you're
There,
right,
it's
you're right.
calories, which is horrifying when you look at the menu and then you look at the things that are on people's plates, and it's like, oh my god, you're eating 4,000 calories worth of things, and you don't actually know what that does to your body.
Yeah.
That
is.
I think learning macros changed that the most. Is like, oh my god, that's what that looks like on a plate.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that is the magic of what we're talking about, eating out, is learning, because it's so different to do this at home versus starting to figure out, to me, it was a light bulb moment when I started doing it. It really was. And it shaped how I order always and how my brain, and it doesn't
It changes the way you eat, not
Totally.
just
It does.
the way that you order. It changes the way that you eat.
Right.
As
Well,
a person.
It's mindfulness. It's mindful eating is really what it is.
Educated
Yeah,
eating, because now you really know what the impacts of those
And
things
you might
are.
still sometimes have those things that you know, but you're making a conscious choice, and it's maybe not done as frequently and that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. You have the education now that you're not making that poor choice daily, because you know that there's an impact associated to it. It's something that happens occasionally, which is totally fine. One thing that I like to do is find a restaurant that I know publishes, like a chain or something like that, whether it be McDonald's or like Rubio's, stuff like that, when you're eating at those more local restaurants. You know, if I'm going to a local taco shop, I will look up a chain taco place and try to find something similar. Torchy's actually does publish theirs.
Yeah, Torchy's is
Yeah,
great.
that's a great
You guys
one.
turned us onto that in San Antonio,
Yeah.
and now they have it in Arizona.
I like
they have
those.
it. Yeah,
I like
Yeah, they have
their
it here now.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
I feel the same way about In-N-Out in other states.
Yeah.
Like In-N-Out in California is wonderful.
Yep.
It's not the
Something
same.
different happens.
It's better here
outside of
than
the state.
in Texas, but not as good as it was.
I
in
think it's because
California.
they locally source.
Yeah, it is.
They locally
Yep.
source, and because California has so much farm, like that. This
Wouldn't
just
you get better beef in Texas?
You would think.
maybe that's a good question. Yeah, I agree though. I definitely agree with
It's
that.
not the same.
It's not the same. But I think that's really a great way too, because like I would use, there's a Mexican restaurant that's
On the border?
on the border. Thank you.
It just went bankrupt.
Oh, I didn't
Did
know
it
that.
really? Oh wow.
So they published. So I would use theirs, or like a Chili's, or
Yes.
an Applebee's, or
Whatever chain.
Yeah.
I feel most of like the mom and pop places are probably a little bit less macros, fats, oils than the stuff that you're getting at those bigger chains.
So you're safe.
So you're safe. I
Yeah.
feel like that's an okay buffer if I'm using a chain. But that's kind of my thing, is like, just figure out what that looks like. Just know, develop that knowledge. And that's what allows you to then modify your orders, right? Because now you know I can have a burger. But okay, if I get this burger and I only do one part of the bun, I can also have half the fries and get avocado on it.
Right.
Now you have this thing that you can put together. And you can take those things everywhere, right? Like a 6-ounce steak is a 6-ounce steak. You can order that anywhere.
Yeah, steakhouse is a very safe bet.
Yep.
I mean, some places you do have to make sure you tell them not to cook it in butter, which I still don't get, like the nicer restaurants that serve you a steak in a bowl of butter. And I'm like, but this is a really nice cut of meat. This was,
Yeah, but it's better with butter.
is that what it
Isn't
is?
it?
I think
Everything's
that's the
better with
logic,
butter,
yeah.
I'm like, I want to taste the steak, not a plate full of butter personally, but yeah.
Same. Steakhouses are usually one of my, I guess, like starter introduction restaurants, right? Like, go to steakhouses. You know exactly what ounce of meat that you're going to get. Usually your veggies are a la carte, and they will absolutely steam them for you. And then you can get a baked potato.
Some places even a sweet, or
Yeah,
sweet
even a
potato.
sweet baked potato, which would just give you more fiber. But that's kind of like the easiest one to go out with. And it's on such a wide array, right? Like, are you having a fancy date night, or are you just going to Outback? You have options within that.
Well, you could have a fancy date night at Outback.
You could. No judgment.
And I do think what you're describing here is as I back up from this picture, the benefit of this is that if you're somebody who's afraid to go out because you're afraid of going outside your macros, start with something simple. And I do think a steakhouse is is something that's really ready-made for this lifestyle because of the types of food that they serve and the way that they're prepared and the ability to kind of modify those.
Yep.
Outback is really easy because they don't do a whole lot of extra stuff. And we talked about the blooming onion, so don't get a blooming onion because it's like 2,500 calories.
Not worth it.
And watch
yeah.
out for the bread.
And watch out for the bread. Yeah, the bread. Oh, and we started doing that like when we were
I turned that up. Do you want bread? No.
back in
Please
the-
don't
yeah,
bring it
back
to
in
me.
the-
Or
Mexican-
chips. Please
yeah.
don't bring it to me. There is certain things that I know I don't have the self-control for.
Yeah, just don't even
And
put it
I
on the
just
table.
would rather not.
Well, I think I brought up Cheesecake Factory more because back in the day when we were traveling the circuit with Jami, when she was competing, Cheesecake Factory was the place to go
After the show.
After the show,
It's open
Yeah,
late and
right.
it's everywhere.
And Exactly. Open late everywhere. And it was just had something, that huge menu, sweets and everything else. So it just became that place. But man, I remember us going a couple of times and the bread would just keep coming and coming and coming. So that by the time you got your meal, you were tanked out on bread. We stopped ordering bread at these, and we would just say no, 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 thank you, no bread. In part for a couple reasons, because one, it's so easy to just eat that stuff mindlessly. The second piece is because what do you want from that meal? Do you just want the insulin spike from eating the bread when it comes, or do you want to have the satiating meal that has the more whole food, nutrient dense items that you really want?
Something that's going to do more service for your body.
Interested in changing your life or stepping on stage? Join FitBody Fusion today.
Experience the FitBody Fusion difference with tools, knowledge, and community support to reach your healthy and sustainable lifestyle.
We guide thousands on their fitness journeys, from seasoned athletes to those who are simply seeking a healthier life.
Our expert coaches provide personalized plans and unwavering support, empowering you to thrive.
FitBody Fusion is more than just training. It's a community. We understand the challenges of solo fitness journeys, which is why we foster a supportive environment where members encourage and motivate each other.
Join the FitBody Fusion community today and unlock your full potential.
Head to fitbodyfusion.com to sign up for a free consultation.
And do it today.
Right? Are you in a position to service your body? Is that what your goal is today? I personally don't track on vacations. I don't take my vacations when I'm in prep, right? When I need to be super diligent. I don't track on vacations, but I also don't eat 5 meals. Because when I'm on vacation, my boyfriend and I went to Italy last year, I didn't track because I wasn't eating 5 meals, but the meals that I'm eating, I'm also not preparing, and they're bigger. Right? There's more to them because now there's oil and butter and other things that I don't normally eat. So I'm kind of shrinking that. I'm also really aware of what that caloric impact is. So in another country, incredibly hard to get protein.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Apparently other countries don't eat protein. So I really relied heavily on, am I hitting my calories at least? Right? Because that's at least what I could control, and it's just being mindful. Right? I'm not trying to blow that number out of the water. I want to experience the culture. I want to experience the food, but I don't want to come home feeling bad about that experience either. And I think it's just being really kind of mentally mindful of, I'm having the freedom. I don't have to track this, but I also don't need to just eat gelato all day, right? There is that, am I serving my body?
I love that. And, and I love that you also said that, you're strategic. And when you choose to go on a vacation, one of the big things I really discourage people from doing is going on a vacation right after their show, because that time's just as important as coming into the show.
And you're such a little fat sponge at that point. Your body is just looking to absorb. Mm-hmm. And what are you going to give it? Right? Things and tools and building blocks during this beautiful absorption period. Are you going to go have margaritas and pizza with your buddies, at the beach? It's going to have an impact, and it's a really sensitive time. It's also mentally a time where you've been restricted, that now you're giving yourself that freedom. You don't have that leash right now, right? Post-show to pull that back in. I've definitely found myself down that slippery slope.
Me too. I only know because I've done it myself.
It's a hard one to get back from.
It's really easy because the impulse control is at a minimum, if it exists at all. And so because you don't have that impulse control, as we talked about on the first episode of this, is creating space between stimulus and response is the key to building that awareness. But you've got to recognize that in that post-show state of your body, and more importantly your mind, that response time that is just so compressed because you're effectively compromised, physically compromised physiologically compromised, so that your body is not necessarily telling you it needs that food, but your mind is telling you that it needs that food, and it is
hormones, specifically.
The ghrelin is just
right, and the lack of leptin. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you do have those people, and I know you have to travel while on prep sometimes, well, you have to travel to shows, but also just in general, whether it be for clients or for other reasons, or when you have clients. I mean, I've had people anywhere from flight attendants that are always traveling to people that travel for work or whatever. So so let's jump into the travel when you are tracking. Like, what kind of advice are you giving people?
So when I am tracking and traveling, I bring all of my own food. Everything is fine through TSA as long as it's frozen and not a cream. So like peanut butter, you can't bring at all. Frozen or not, doesn't matter. Still a cream, can't bring it.
Unless you get the individual packets under 3
Oh, because they're
points.
under
3
3
ounces,
ounces,
yeah.
yes. But I will freeze basically everything. So I'll pre-prep all of my proteins. If I'm doing a carb that needs to be prepped in advance, I'll prep that in advance. I was on an oatmeal kick for like 10 years. So can't bring oatmeal, right? So it's an oatmeal with egg whites and pumpkin and chia seeds. It's really good. If you've been my client, you've had it, I'm sure. And that I would bake. So instead of doing my regular like oatmeal cream porridge, I would bake it. So now I have my regular breakfast, I have my regular meals, and then I would do Instacart. So I would pre-prep all my chicken. My recent preps, I was doing grilled chicken and cabbage with a little bit of avocado. So like this little kind of salad with an apple. So I would get my cabbage and my apples and my avocados from Instacart and have all of that delivered to the room and then just throw my chicken in from there. In prep, it's more strict, right? Everything has to be dialed in. The amount of sodium that you're having has to be consistent. I don't want to go to a store and buy chicken that they made, even though it's plain chicken breast. I didn't make it. I don't trust it. So I bring my own. And that goes back to that control, right? Because I want to control all the variables. So in prep, I'm super strict. I freeze everything and I bring it with me. I also eat most of my food cold when I travel because I don't want to deal with the whole microwave situation, especially at shows. They all smell like fish. They're really gross. So I don't do that. But I'll do potatoes for that reason because I don't mind potatoes cold. Cold rice is gross. Cold potatoes don't bother me. Figuring out what do you like, what works for your body, and freeze it and bring it. If I'm traveling and it's more outside of prep, I will usually stick to kind of the same, I guess, like top and bottom meals, so to speak. I'll usually do a bar in the morning with some coffee and whatever that is. And then at the end of the night, I'll usually bat some cleanup with granola and Greek yogurt because that's something that's really easy to kind of measure out in the hotel. And whatever I kind of get left with from, we'll go out to eat sometimes in the middle of the day. I'll usually get chicken and veggies or like a sandwich or something like that. But those two kind of meals, this one sets me up because I've now started my day with a hearty protein source. And then that yogurt at the end of the day is kind of how I make up that delta. And I think that's kind of what's helpful when you travel is just figuring out how am I making up these numbers? Because maybe I'm not the one preparing all 3 or 4 of my meals today. You know, we've got a company lunch that we're going to, it's catered. What do I do? Eat as close to normal as possible, pick out what doesn't fit. You know, are they doing wraps? You know that thing's got dressing on it. Probably dressing that you don't normally eat, wouldn't buy. Poke the avocado out of it. You know, take the fats out somewhere, scrape some of that off, mitigate, be mindful.
I love that. And have you ever traveled and the chicken gone bad? And if so, then what?
That's one of the scenarios where you do your best, right? So that's where I would go to Sprouts and get something just grilled and plain. And that's just, you know, do it your best. Do you remember when we got stranded?
Yes. Oh, that's right. We were in North Carolina or something like that.
Yes,
and
we got
and you didn't have
stranded.
enough food.
I didn't have enough food. So what did we do? I brought enough food to get us back that day. We had a whole other day.
People are going to want to know, why'd you guys get stranded?
Our flight got canceled?
Our flight was
I think
canceled.
weather?
Yeah, our flight was canceled due to weather, and they couldn't get us back. It was like 48 hours that extra. We had to go back to the
a whole
hotel,
other
check
day.
back in. Yep.
So we went to Target. And I got apples and chicken breast and a food scale and some potatoes, and we went back to the hotel. This is absolutely something that you can do anywhere.
And I think we actually also, because you needed a meal, so I think we
We
went
had
and
sushi.
ate. We had sushi.
We had sushi,
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah.
We got chirashi bowls,
Yep.
which is the one that's just rice with the
Yeah.
with the fish on it.
So, because we needed something right away, so we went and ate at the sushi. Then we
can't
went to
believe that we ate
Target.
sushi in
and-
South Carolina.
Yeah, and got groceries, and then we
choice
went back,
there.
and you were good to go.
Yeah.
And I remember like because this was a long time ago.
I was
This
panicked.
This was like, God,
7 years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going to
something.
say
It was
6, 7
a long
years
time
ago. It was a
ago.
long time. I can't believe we even remember this. But yeah, but no, I know. I remember initially like that panic, and I'm like, we got this. And what a cool learning moment of like,
It's okay. It's okay. You can figure it out.
And partly what I will applaud you guys, and we've talked about this a little bit around the edges, is that you guys made it a game or an adventure. And
We did.
and when you do that, and I mean, I get it, man, it's hard. This is why, we talk about this a lot, just overall in this sport, is that when you are living so disciplined, it is like walking a tightrope on where the rope is made of dental floss. I mean, the margin for error on that is not, there is no margin of error. Versus if you can build yourself a sidewalk to walk across the gorge, there's a little bit of variability. And when you treat that as a game where, okay, I got this thrown at me. Now what can I do, instead of focusing on, oh my God, I can't do that, or
Everything's ruined.
That's right. Everything is ruined.
Everything's
that mindset.
ruined.
And that gets you danger close to the effort mindset. And when you get to the effort mindset, cupcakes,
All of it.
all of that, but Cinnabon, all that stuff comes into being, because you're just like, okay, well, this one straw fell, and so the whole house of cards is gone. So instead of building yourself a house of cards, build yourself a house of concrete. And to do that, it's just like, okay, things are going to happen. There are options for this. I know you had an athlete that was in Japan for a show, and nothing translated because everything was. Hey, it's like I know newsbreaker here. They speak a whole different language in Japan, and so. And it's not an alphabet. It's kanji symbols. So it is. She had to adapt, but she looked at this as, hey, it's an adventure and I'll figure it out. And luckily we were able to connect her with somebody else who helped her translate that a little bit. But there's always a solution if you're willing to look for it. If you spend your time in panic over what you can't do, or over the restriction or the variable that just changed, then it's going to be difficult.
And getting comfortable with eating out.
Yep. Builds
is
that.
Building that tolerance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Building that back up, because it's okay. I think a lot of people have a lot of fear over deviating from the plan. I figured out these macros, they work. I'm just going to do this forever. That's also not sustainable.
That's right.
Right? Like, you still
Right.
need to go be a human. You still need to have a family and enjoy those things. And sometimes that is food related. I tell clients, it's not always about the food that's on your plate when you're going to restaurants. It's about the experience. It's about the people that you're with, right?
And I would
But not
say,
always, is
well,
what-
I think it is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And it should be a part of it, is the social aspect of food. And the one thing that I just caution people about is that decouple food from fun. You can still go and enjoy are you going there to experience the restaurant, or are you going there to experience the people that you're spending time with? When you decouple food from fun, then the food is not the driver for that experience. The company that you're keeping is. And hopefully that company is very supportive of what your lifestyle choices are, and so that you can do that. And if they're not, you can still adapt, improvise, and overcome. But decouple food from fun. The food is fuel. The food is there to add nutrients to your body, to help fuel it, so that you can reach levels that you never, so you can perform at your best, right? Optimize yourself with your food. And if you are associating food with fun, then it's very easy to go down that slippery slope of eat, because everybody around me is eat.
Right. And I think it's important to know the difference,
Yep.
right? What are you there for? What's your goal here? What experience do you want to have? And there may be times where, anniversaries, for me personally, like, that's where, like, I want to experience this with you, all of it. The taste, the textures, the sounds, this food, I want the whole thing. I want something cohesive that's us. That's a different experience than me going out to dinner with you guys, right? Because I'm hanging out. I want to hang out. That's different than like having this really intimate experience. What are you looking for?
I love that. That's what I like the way that you put that, because it is true. And there is a time and place, or, maybe there's a holiday, or you going to someone's house and they've prepared something really special and they really want you to, so I mean, there's being able to work in all the different scenarios, I think is really important.
And there's a restaurant in town, Monarch, that is a chef's menu.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And we love that experience. And honestly, that's one you can't really prep for, because it's a chef's menu, and the chef's gonna give you whatever's on the menu. And if you're going in with that mindset of the portions are small, which is great, but there's 5 to 7 courses that exist across the
can't really
menu.
be like, no
And
butter, no oil.
You cannot send back to the chef and say, hey, look, can you do this?
Can
you do this? So it's like you say, be aware of what's the purpose of why I'm there. If you're in this circumstance, when you're eating a chef's menu, the experience is the experience. I want to experience whatever the chef says that they think I should eat. And so you embrace that and you lean into that, and that's what you're getting. And maybe you plan around that with your other macros for the day so that you're keeping some boundaries around it. But the experience is about the food.
Yes.
Right.
And they're different.
Yeah.
Along that same vein that this just occurred to me, mitigating the damage afterwards.
Yep. Good point.
So you went out to eat, you had this great meal. Now it's the next day. What do? My opinion, nothing. Eat your normal macros, get yourself back on track. You don't need to punish yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. If you went over, cool, it'll come back down. Hopefully we've got your metabolism in a place where it is going to recover from one meal, right? I don't want you doing it every night and then just being, look, I just got back on macros the next day because I didn't track those last 4 meals, but I got back on track the next day. Get back on track the next day and stay there.
Yeah.
Right? But there's no need to punish yourself for eating out either.
I want to applaud you for saying that, because I do think that's something that we see a lot of is people saying, okay, I'm going to make up for this over the next 5 days. Treat every day as a day.
Right. Well, and that just really is a mindset issue too, because you get into that feast or famine sort of punish and reward sort of mindset around food. And I feel like I was there at a point, and
I was there for years.
Yeah. And I mean, it was really hard for me to break out of that and to repair my relationship with food and realize that it's not the enemy and that I have choices every day. And I do think what you just described is a huge part of that, is that, like, if I do make that choice to, I've got an anniversary, or, I'm going to someone's house and I want to be able to enjoy the food and be a good house guest, whatever the situation is, but I've made a conscious choice and I've been conscientious in my portions and done all the things, then tomorrow morning I wake up, okay, that was a choice that I made. When I report into my coach, I'm going to let them know, hey, here's what happened. I got right back on track the next day. And there's no like guilt or shame or any of those things involved. Now, like you said, it's different when people are just kind of always throwing caution to the wind and not really, but we're talking about, there was a purposefulness behind it and a conscious choice that was being made. And I think that's what's important.
We spend so much time beating ourselves up for the choices that we make, and they're choices that you make, right? You made that choice. You had the thought process that went into it. Why are you beating yourself up? For what?
Right.
Move on, move forward. That's the direction that we're moving.
It's the difference between a mistake and a habit. And if you build in that habit of, okay, I'm going to punish myself every time I make a mistake, then you see this negative feedback loop that you get into and you keep rolling on that. And that's just nowhere. You made a mistake, give yourself grace. Hey, I did that. I'm fine. It's done. John Wood, the very famous basketball coach, John Wooden, which you probably guys don't know, but UCLA basketball coach, several national championships, famous author.
Oh, yeah. You know our demos mostly.
Yeah, okay, never mind. But he talks about how, look, today, the best way to influence tomorrow is with your actions today. You cannot affect yesterday. Yesterday's done. It's in the books. It's gone. Today is your day. So what are you going to do today? Because whatever you do today is what's going to make tomorrow successful. But if you're thinking about what I do tomorrow, then you're not focusing on today. So
right.
If you're thinking about, well, tomorrow I'm going to do what I'm going to do today because tomorrow I'm going to get back on my macros, you've already opened the door to a bad outcome because
Habitually.
yeah, exactly.
Because you're justifying bad behavior.
Yeah, that's why every new habit begins on a Sunday or a Monday. Hey, tomorrow I'm going to start this new habit,
Or on
that's
January
That's my
1st.
favorite
Yeah.
question on
Yeah.
consults. Well, when should I start? I'm going on vacation in like 6 months. Okay, yeah, we could start tomorrow.
Right.
Today.
Right now. Like, why? What do
Yeah.
you mean? Like, life is always going to happen.
And it should.
I would hope so, right? Like, you
No.
want different things and experiences.
Right. We don't want to put our life completely on hold for an indefinite time. I mean, obviously, like, we talk about like that 4 to 6 weeks right before the show. We're going to protect our space and our time a little bit more. Like the closer you
Controlling
get,
more variables.
Exactly.
How much control do I need over the variables right now?
Exactly.
4 weeks out, a lot of control. A year out in my off season, not that much.
Right.
I can afford a little bit more variable, but I've also built myself that sidewalk so that I can.
Right. And I would say this: a year out, you want to still control the variables, but the level of flexibility that you have in those variables is going to be wider than you will when you're in prep or 4 weeks out. So because there is a cumulative effect, as we've talked about. So what you do in your off season adds up, and the habits that you build in your off season. So I know for me personally, I like to really emphasize hitting a sodium target even in off season, because it builds that discipline so that when you get to the prep, you're good at keeping, and same with water, fiber. I like to keep those things consistent because when you get to prep, then the work is kind of done versus turning the jets on when you get to prep. It requires that adjustment period and it becomes more difficult.
I love that. And it is turning the jets on when you get there, because am I prepared?
Right. Oh, that's my favorite question. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the question, right? Is like, am I prepared? Did I do the right things to get here? And I think for most of us, the answer probably is yes. And it's having the faith in yourself too, right? That you are prepped, you know how to do this. It's okay.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. You can get there. You'll be fine. You
Right.
can go eat. Nothing bad's going to happen.
The
But
sky's
it's also
not gonna
proving
fall.
it to yourself, right? Like, I don't know if I have that kind of self-control, so I don't. Well, you're never going to know if you have that kind of self-control if you never do it. You have to test those waters.
Well, you have to train those waters. I think you're right.
Oh, I like
Test
that.
train. But resiliency is something that I do think people are born with different levels of resiliency. And I also know that resiliency is something that you train. And you don't train that.
By standing up, you gotta get knocked down,
Most
right?
of the training of your resiliency is going to happen without
things are hard.
without planning. Stuff is going to get thrown at you, and the opportunity in there, and comes in that same thing, that same concept of stimulus and response and creating space in there. When you are, take that breath. Okay, shit just happened. What am I going to do?
Now what?
And instead of focusing on what you're not going to do or what was taken away or what was restricted, what can I do in these circumstances? The North Carolina trip that you guys just talked about, that's really, honey. And I will tell you, I've watched your resiliency. You are among the best that I've ever seen do that. And I think because of the difficulties that you've experienced in your life has built that up.
I have a lot of practice.
Yeah, and practice resiliency. And it's not like I'm not going to throw challenges in my way just to throw challenges in my way, but
They'll come up on their own.
They're going to come up on their own, and then you get to choose how you respond to them. And it's that whole
Like Greg
concept.
says, you don't have to train to suffer.
Nope, you don't. It will happen. It will happen organically.
And I just wanted to add one thing, because I think about this with our North Carolina trip and some of what you're saying. Make it fun.
Yep.
I mean, you can make this a game and
Yeah.
make it fun. I mean, I know I've given this example before, but I had an athlete who the airlines made them check their carry-on bag that had their food in it, and then the flight got delayed and they needed to have a meal, and they were like, what do I do? And I'm like, look around you. What do you see? Okay, there's a store. All right, let's go in. Let's see. Are there boiled eggs in there? Yeah. Okay, cool. There's some protein for you. Or do you see any fruit? Is there a banana or something we can get for our carbs? What about some bags of nuts to get some fats? Okay, cool. So then we were able to kind of like piecemeal this. So literally out of a convenience store.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. And I do that all the time it's like, well, I got stuck on the road. I didn't have a meal. So I got this fast food burger, and it's like, cool. Okay, let's go to that fast food joint and let's look at what else we could have ordered that maybe would have fit your day a little bit better. Or I went to the gas station and all I got was a protein shake. Cool. Let's think about the gas station. Let's see what else we could have done. right? Most of them have Greek yogurt now. Those 2 Good yogurts are like everywhere. Those are great. Most of them have fruit. In a pinch, get a bar over the shake. It's something more substantial, has some fiber, gonna stick with you, right? It's figuring out what works. How do I eat normally, even though this isn't my normal food?
And stop telling yourself the story, awfulizing. Stop awfulizing the things that could happen if you don't do something or you make this selection, and start embracing the fact that, okay, I have an opportunity here. How am I going to make the most of this opportunity? I love what you just said of just look.
Make it a game.
Make it a game.
Yeah.
And stop. Look around. It's like what's around here for you. So there's usually a solution to it. It's just when you jump to the conclusion instead of taking that pause and saying, okay, what other options are there? And which I love that you just walked through that. That was amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
And we are at time.
We are. This was a great discussion.
I
Brought
feel
back
like the time just went by so fast. Yeah.
fast. I love this subject, and I really hope that
We're gonna have
people
to have her back.
take this. Absolutely, I really hope people take this and they implement some of these things and have some fun with it and experiment and figure out like how they can
Go out.
Yeah.
Go out.
Live
Enjoy
your
it.
life. I say this all the time. The emphasis on the first 4 letters of lifestyle. It is your life. You need to be able to live it. And if you're not living your life, what is it? What was that Almas book? Are you in the world or of the world? And it's like if you're just in the world, you're just kind of responding. You're reactive. But if you're of the world, then you're looking at all these things as an experience, as something that you get to do things, and that get to mindset really opens up the door for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Wow, this was good.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back and watch for our fusion hacks with Yvette as well, because we're going to have some really great tips too.
And we need a checkout word this time. Do we get 2? Are we making one up from the last time?
Well, from this one, I want to say that I feel really accomplished. This was really cool, really fun.
I feel inspired. I'm just going to add mine in there. This was incredible.
I feel happy. It's fun because we haven't had some time together in a while. So even just getting to spend some time with you and a little bit of reminiscing has been a lot of fun. So yeah I miss you.
The
Me
North
too.
Carolina story, man. That was.
Yeah.
Do you
Gosh,
wanna-
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I mean, as soon as you did like that flood of memories and like
It was such sheer panic on my part. That's what I remember. It's just Jamie was just like, it's cool. And I was like, well, if there's anybody to be lost and stranded with, there's nobody better than my coach. Like,
she is so calm in a storm. It just amazes me all the time that she does that. So you're awesome. I love you.
babe.
Do you want to tell people how to get a hold of you?
yeah. Instagram, Yvette.Cassandra.IFBB Pro. And then at FitBodyFusion.com, my name's in the drop down.
It's okay.
you wanna
You can hit that, whack that microphone a little bit. Microphone.
Macrophone.
Macrophone. We spent too much time on macros today.
Looks like we're
We're
talking
going to
macros
macro
a
that
little
phone.
bit.
We're
Yeah.
going to eat it. How many macros are in this?
That might be too much fiber. Insoluble fiber.
Yeah, I think there's way too much fiber.
Since we're talking
you're going
about
to be
fiber,
hurting tomorrow after you eat that.
I did want to cover one other thing on fiber. If you want to get extra fiber, like, comment, subscribe, leave your reviews for our podcast. No, that will not give you extra fiber, but it will help.
Peanut shells will,
It will
though.
help. Yeah. Oh God.
Basil
I don't
seeds.
want to
If you
I don't want
don't
to
eat
tell
them.
the story of the shelled penis. Anyway, that's another story. Anyway, everybody, thank you for tuning in, or clicking on, I don't know, whatever.
Watching?
Experiencing, listening, embracing, absorbing, and remember the 3 B's.
Be good to yourself.
Be good to each other and
be
be
safe.
safe. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to FitBody Lifestyle. We hope today's episode has left you feeling motivated and equipped to tackle your fitness goals, business challenges, and the daily dance of life. Remember to value progress over perfection. Life's tough enough alone. Find the chosen family around you to help you along the way.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FitBody Fusion.